because I think once a month, we're gonna do some kind of panel. And on those panels, we're gonna have agents that are gonna be talking about their experience from, the last shift. Although it may not be the exact same reason or the exact same result from the previous shift but it is a shift in the market. And you'll learn the common theme is you're gonna have to start doing a little bit more, but the reward is always there. And you'll hear from some agents, and I was just teaching down in Stockbridge last week, and I was talking to Sherry Pettis about this, and she was sharing that she's now lead generating 5 or 6 hours a day when she used to lead gen like an hour or two a day, like 2 hours a day. So she's basically doubled, like 2.5 times her lead gen time to yield the same results. But the difference in that is if I'm yielding the same results now, what happens on the upswing when the market comes back up, I'm gonna take so much market share. So I want to drill that in because it may seem a little harder each deal, but you got to think each deal you get today, it will yield you 4 or 5 deals in the next couple of years, 3 years from now, right? You're doing that many more deals because they're so harder to make. And I know it could be tough to understand that, but you got to play the infinite game. This isn't a 1-year deal. So put that in perspective, and maybe if you cast that vision for what you want your business to look like down the line, it'll give you a little extra motivation to dive in and take these, 1 or 2 deals, every 3 months, if that's the case for right now. But that will change. I'm telling you, if you're in this to truly build a business, this is the time that you dig deep. I always think about, there was a cartoon, and I'm dating myself right now, but there was a cartoon with the, I think it was the ants and the grasshopper. And the grasshopper would always, in the summertime, the grasshopper was playing and all that and having fun and doing his thing. And the ants were just working. And he was like, oh, you're always working. And then when winter came, they was down below ground, living it up. They had all their food down there and partying. And he was outside like freezing and everything. So think about, something like that analogy. So definitely not gonna go into the 2246, just important for you to kind of know about those magical numbers. Go ahead, Julie, we'll kind of go through these pretty quick. So home prices, we already established that they're holding steady. That's not changing. You can go ahead, Juju. New home starts still below. So just throwing these things out there so that you can, when you're in casual conversation and someone's saying, feeling like the sky is falling, you can kind of share some of this. And then mortgage rates, of course, we know 50-year was 7.81, 30 years is 5.97, and right now we're still below that at 5.34, hovering around maybe 6, but we're still below. Speed and scale equals disruption. We talked about mortgages. We talked about mortgages, right? Refinance volume down, purchase apps down. 76% of mortgage companies lost money in the fourth quarter, and 36% workforce reduction. Remember, we talked about their back office of a lot of mortgage companies are running on a skeleton crew, or at least much less than what they were running on a few years ago. So that takes some adjustment, right? So when we say market shift, it's not just in your business. The market shifts is shifting on this end too, right? Less appraisals and stuff like that. So that's why I say, if you're fighting and you're getting deals closed now, leverage that, because that's going to win you more, relationships. It's going to mend you more support from your mortgage company, because trust me, everybody's not closing. So if you're closing, then leverage that with your mortgage affiliate as well. So we'll go to the next one. So that drives us into mortgage hacks. Touched on this just a little bit, but now we're gonna dive into exactly what those hacks are. So let's go ahead. So first, what I was just talking about, Juju, can you move that black thing? I don't know where you can put it on the side or something like that.
Just drag it.
Yeah, drag it over to the side.
Ah, look
But
at
that still might be.
I'll move it, I guess, again.
Okay.
later,
We'll
But I
start.
can't get rid of it.
We'll start. All right, so go back to the other side, I'm sorry. Yeah, back.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so what I just mentioned, you doing deals, right? There's a lot of, because there is a shift in the market. When we were rolling the last couple of years, mortgage, not just mortgage loan officers, but also any vendor that we had, it was easier for them to get into a passenger ship with us. Why? Because you guys control the transaction. Like when you guys eat, everybody eat, right? Who eats off of a transaction that you do? Just throw some people out there. Yep, all of them are vendors, but who else? Attorneys, like you said, vendors, so they got new agents, so inspection, who else? Appraisers, right? Loan officers, photographers, right? Cleaning people, a lot of people who, yes, GCs, right? And GCs got so cocky during that time. They stopped answering their phone. They come and bid on the job. Then when you say, okay, that worked, they wouldn't call you back. Like they got real cocky, right? So that's a passenger ship, meaning they jumped on your bandwagon, when you're out doing all that work, right? So now switch over. They need to be in partnership with you. And that's a good thing. And no, not saying that they were out there purposely being bad. It's just y'all was giving them so much business. So, it was easier for them to just kind of ride the wave. Now it's time to slow down. Remember, we always say we're going from a speed market to a skills-based market, meaning from fast to slowing down just a little bit, right? Make them partners now, guys. Like being honest, and I know we got some newbies in the room, but I see Denise and all you guys and Jay Roll, I should say. Did you guys sit down with a mortgage person 2 or 3 years ago? Like go to lunch with them or anything like that? Right, and you were giving them a lot of business, right? But it's because we were all moving fast, right? Now it's time to sit for coffee, lunch, or something and be in partnership with them to see how y'all both can make this work. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. And not just loan officers, I'm talking everybody, anybody that you're doing business with consistently, even once now, because sit down with them and see how you can tap into their resources, their database, how you can partner with them to create MOFRs and things of that nature. It's not just going to sit down and say, hey, I need $300 for this or $500. Nah, I'm not saying that. When I say partnership, how can you sit down and really learn to understand some of these hacks we're going to go over with your mortgage professional? How can that mortgage professional provide you a weekly update with what's going on in the mortgage world, something you may not have heard of or whatever that you can put out to your database, right? So think along those terms, like how can I partner with, any vendor that I've been doing with, because that's where we need to be right now. Does that make sense? Yeah, become a partner, guys. That passenger ship, not it's over, all right? It's over. All right. So we're gonna get into thriving in the mortgage market. So there's 7 steps, right? Gary talked about 7 steps of the mortgage market of the moment. And we're gonna go into each one of these. All right. So step 1 is understanding the market of the moment. So understanding the opportunities and the limitations of the current mortgage market, right? So we're going to talk about both of those. Understanding the current mortgage solutions available. You know, the most common we see are 30-year and 15-year fixed conventional loans, right? Well, jumbos and things of that nature. We're going to dive into what other type of programs that are out there. All right. And so that you guys know too, wish we probably should have printed these, but they're kind of 37 pages, but this playbook is available on KW Connect. So you can actually go in and download this and really, you know, use this. I'll tell you
It's one of
some.
those QR codes on the wall over there.
Yeah, so the playbooks are over there. So we're gonna also talk about how you utilize this and get in front of people with some of this material as well. So anyway, understanding the mortgage product hacks, understanding mortgage hacks for current homeowners, knowing the mortgage products your lenders offer. That's how that partnership comes in play when you're talking about your lender. Market and advertise mortgage products and hacks. How do you use these as MOFers? How do you use them on your social media? You know, how do you put them in your 36 touches? And then mortgage products and hacks to your database. Pretty much same thing. So let's go into step one. So step one is understanding the market of the moment. Real estate agents perform at their best when they are either solving a problem that a customer has or presenting an opportunity to a customer that can better their life, i.e. asking them what they want, right? And what they can need will let us know, okay, how can I best help this person? But going back to providing them with an opportunity that they may not know that they have, we're going to get into that hack of what if you showed somebody how they can pay their mortgage off, right? Just by doing some simple steps. We're going to talk about that. All right. So let's go to the next one. All right. Step two, understanding the current mortgage solutions available. All right. When we talk about financing a home, we traditionally think a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right? In good markets, that's great. But what are some other options? FHA. So if we look at the bottom of this, the FHA helped to create the mortgage solutions you see available by creating the following systems: quality standards, lower down payments, 15-year and 30-year loans, and the amortization periods. That's what FHA brought. Like, you can use some of this language just to let people start to understand I am the expert, right? I have information, valuable information. But the key to this is understanding these programs is vital for a real estate agent to perform at their highest level of fiduciary. All right, let's go to step three and we'll dive into this one. Get familiar with several mortgage products that may be beneficial to clients in the market of the moment. We talked about buy downs, right? We heard a lot about buy downs over the last 6 months, right? Who can tell us what a buy down is? Hate to put y'all on the spot. Just what you think of it, like just, we don't have to be.
Getting extra money towards closing costs to buy the interest rate down, which is gonna make your mortgage payment low.
Bingo, that's it. That's a buy down. That's a buy down. So let's get into them. So buy downs, right? So go to the next. That was great, Denise. Thanks for sharing it. There are a few common buy down products that clients can take advantage of, including an interest rate buy down, a 3-2-1 buy down, and a 2-1 buy down. All right, so how does it work? Interest rate buy down. A rate buy down is a way to pay for a lower interest rate by purchasing discount points or mortgage points, right? What is the value for a buy down to a client? Buy downs can be a benefit of both buyers and sellers. Sellers get a competitive advantage. Buyers get to make a one-time payment to reduce their interest rate for the length of the loan, right? So when you do a buy down, that's not like we'll get into the next couple in a minute, but a buy down, you're buying that rate forever by paying a little bit more upfront. How can this benefit sellers?
Because the buyer can afford the house now.
Buyer can afford the house on a monthly payment. Can the sellers contribute to a buy down?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why I was kind of probably asked the question wrong. But if you have a seller, then let them know, say, look, this is what it would cost to buy this down by 2 points, right? Let's just build that into it. Let's just advertise that. And then show the difference in the rates, right? And you can use that. If you have a seller, or even if you know of a house that, say it's 600,000, and you know what a rate buy down would be for that, say it was $16,000 or something. And now you got instead of a 6% or interest rate, you got a 5.5. You show what that payment looks like, you got instant fans. And even if someone can afford their house, or whatever house, it makes you look like an expert, or it makes you look like you know what's going on with the market of the moment. And that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to know these things and share them so that people look at you like, oh man, she's resourceful. Maybe she has something that may work for me. That won't work for me because I don't have 16,000. What else you got out there, right? That's the key to this. So if you look, so that's the value to the client. The buy downs can be benefit to both. Sellers get a competitive advantage. Buyers get to make a one-time payment. I just said that. So anyway, a common misconception is that 1% equals 1 point. I ain't gonna lie, I thought that too, y'all, for a long time. I'm telling you, I thought that too. I was like, man, you're gonna take it down all the way from 5 to 6. I mean, from 6 to 5? No, that's not it. 1 point in reality, approximately 1 point is 0.25%, right, of the mortgage rate, right? So when you hear someone say they're gonna buy down a point, points work off of 1/4%. 1 whole point is 1/4%. I know the ones in the room is probably like, Terrell, you didn't know that? Because y'all just finished real estate school, and this was probably part of the math part, but you're gonna learn real quick. We forget all that stuff. But no.
Is that
So-
what your presentation, is that in the playbook?
Yes,
You have access to?
this is the whole playbook. I'm just going through the playbook pretty quick and I'm pulling out some stuff from it. But yeah, this is the playbook. So buying down the rate by 1 point costs 1% of the loan amount too, right? 1% of the loan amount. So if we're talking $500,000 house and we want to buy that down by 1 point, how much does that cost us? Great. What'd you say, J-Ro? Yeah, if the house is, the sales price is 500,000, I want to buy 1 point down, so I want to take my 1/4%. How much? He brought out the calculator. 500,000 times 1%, 5,000. He's doing
Did you say 1 point is equivalent to?
1%, but no, but buying it down, like how much cash?
Oh,
1 point is 0.25% of the mortgage rate, right? 1 point is 1/4 of the rate, but buying it down, how much cash? So buying it down the rate by 1 point costs 1% of the loan amount. So 5,000. Jay, I see you back there. I'm trying to get the head. 5,000. So that would cost $5,000. So you can know that. Like if you want to take this down 1/4%, but you want half, that's 10,000. 0.75, which is now you're moving the needle a little bit, 15,000, right? So you can tell that to your client. And if you look at the example that they gave, how the math works on the 30-year mortgage, the purchase price being 500,000, 5% down. If they took it down by 1 point, that's that interest rate would be 6.75, and the payment would be $80, $79 less, right? You're moving the needle at 3 points, to be honest. you're taking it down 6.25, so 0.75. The rate goes from 3160 to 2925. You know, that's a savings of $235. That's significant to me. I mean, any of it could be significant, but that's, you know, that's more of how much interest am I saving? $84,000, right? But that buy down is gonna cost $14,250. But if you got a seller with all this, sellers have so much equity right now. You have sellers with all this equity and they really want to move their house. You want to talk about decreasing days on market, talk to them about these buy downs. Talk to them about the buy downs, you know, and they can meet somewhere in the middle, right? If they do the 14,250 and the buyer do their own 4750, now they're buying it down by like 4 points. That's a whole percentage. Now you really talking about savings. So there's something to throw out there, especially think about this. T, you've been having a lot of not crazy sellers, but they call it what it is. But no, you've been having a lot of sellers with challenge, not a lot, but you've had it recently. Think about if we talk to them, even if they do it or not, but just say, hey, look, you know, this is a scenario you could think about because things are slowing down. We want to try to speed that up. You want to offer some incentive. This is what a buy down is. This is what it looks like. And this can help open up a pool of buyers, right, that may not have even thought about being able to come and see your home. Even if they do it or not, guess what they know? Guess what that gives them an idea that you're doing. Thinking about every little thing that can help them move their house. They feel like you have a vested interest in it. You just showing it to them. It's up to them to make the decision, but in you showing it to them, you're making them trust you more. Yeah. So when you don't have that, you know, when you don't have that check-in when they want you to, they already know you're out there thinking about some things. So the other part of this hack is 3-2-1 seller buy downs. So a 3-2-1, how it works, buy down is a concession to the buyer that reduces the buyer interest rate and monthly payment for the first 3 years. So think about that. So anytime you hear 2-1, 3-2-1, that's over a certain amount of time, right? So the interest rate for year one is reduced by 3 percentage points, right? 3 percentage points is how much on the rate? 0.75. Okay, all right. So I just don't want nobody going on here saying, if we get them to do a 3-2-1, then you're gonna go from 6 to 3%. 3% for the first. No. So then the interest rate for year two is reduced by 2 percentage points, and then year three is reduced by 1, and then year four is subject to the original interest rate for the remainder of the loan. All right. And it's important, like I said, know these terms, whether someone use them or not, throw it out there, right? Throw it out there because people will know what you're talking about. Everybody's having conversations right now about real estate. Everyone. And when things come up and they're quoting stuff from the news and all of that, if just in a role play situation, if you're somewhere and someone's saying, oh my God, prices are going to go back down and this and that, we already know that's not that it's not showing that, right? We don't see it. And why is that? Inventory, thank you. And you just say those things, right? And then, well, if prices aren't going to go down and rates are high, I can't afford it. How can people afford it? Buy down, yes, there we go, Terry. Buy downs, 3-2-1s, all of those things. So that's why I'm showing you. And then it gives an example. So the value to sellers is, this could be a great negotiation tool because of a greater percentage of homes listed for sale in today's market are seeing price reductions. A 3-2-1 buy down makes the house more affordable to a wider range of buyers who may have otherwise been priced out of the market. And then the value to buyers is buyers get 3 years to absorb the impact of the higher payment and can often finance a higher mortgage amount. It has a much greater impact on the buyer's monthly payment than reducing the list price of the home, right? Think about it, percentages off of mortgage rates is the best thing you can do as far as fitting the buyer into a home, as opposed to trying to lower that price. With just doing a 3-2-1 buy down or any buy down of significance, like 3/4 of a point or more, you would have to reduce that mortgage by like 40,000-50,000, right? On average, depending on the price. But on a $500,000 home, you probably have to drop that thing by 50-60 grand, as opposed to throwing 15-20 grand at a buy down for them. That's another thing when you're talking to your sellers. You know, tell them, say, look, you want to reduce the price, that's great, but how about we do a buy down, right? If they don't want to come down enough, right? Now, if they're coming down 50-60 on 500, let them come down, you good, right? But if they're talking about coming down 15 or 20,000 and you ain't really had no hits and you know they're still above market, take that 20 and just do a buy down, offer a buy down, or agent incentive. Agents will sell it for that extra money. So anyway, so that's a 3-2-1 buy down. Then it gives some examples of those. A 2-1 buy down is pretty much the same thing. It's just 2 years. It starts at a 2 year, then a 1 year, then the 3rd year it's going back, and the same benefits. It's just a shorter amount of time. All right. Any questions on buy downs? We're out of there. Nope. Cool. Let's go to step 2. It's a 5-1 arm. A 5-1 arm. So how it works, a 5-1 arm is a type of adjustable rate mortgage loan with a fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. After the first 5 years, the 5-1 arm switches to an adjustable interest rate for the remainder of the life of the loan. These can be dangerous. They can be dangerous. Trust me. All right. I'll tell a real life story that was happening. Right, that's happening right now. And it wasn't a 5-1 arm. It was actually a HELOC, but it was interest only. So when the rates go up, guess what? The month I got to pay more now because the rate it's an adjustable rate HELOC. So that that can happen. I was like, oh no, this ain't working in my favor, right? So I paid it off, and the money's still sitting there if I need it. However, before I had used it and it was like, okay, I'll just pay that. It's only interest only. But when these rates started to go up, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm paying more on this. I might as well just pay it off and get rid of that. So you got to be careful with arms. So the interest rate for years 1 through 5 is fixed. Generally, these are lower rates so that you can get someone in something. And then years 6 through the life of the loan are subject to change every year based on the rates. So you see how that can get tricky? But there's a benefit for these, right? If I'm moving somewhere, if I'm taking a job, I'm going to be here 3 or 4 years and I don't want to rent, I want to go ahead and buy, then an arm, the value to the buyers is an arm can be a smart financial choice for buyers who are planning to keep the loan for a limited period of time or can afford any potential increases their interest rate over time, right? So if they on their way up on a job or they building a business that like they feel like it's going to be uber successful and they want to take that chance, then go ahead and do it. Or if they're going to be there on a short period of time. And then there's also 7-1 arms, which is pretty much exact same thing. And then a 7-6 arm fixed for 7 years, variable every 6 months thereafter, right? So that's even dangerous. I mean, no, seriously, can you imagine, your mortgage is $1,500 and then 6 months later it goes up to $2,100, like, jeez.
No.
Yeah, that's not cool. All right. So, let's go to number three. Hack number three is a 15-year mortgage. How it works. 15-year mortgage is benefits for those that want to build equity in their home quick and pay their loan off faster, right? You see a lot of investors, not flippers, but like true investors that's building portfolio, real estate portfolios. They'll do a 15-year. You know, they could care less if they even make profit every month on some of them, because they want the equity and they want it fast. And if they got a 15-year, so example, I buy a $250,000 house, my mortgage on it, 15-year mortgage is $1,800 because it's gonna be high, right? $1,800 a month. I rent that same property for $1,800. Some of them will even do if they rent it for $1,700, they'll pay an extra $100, right? But that $1,800 that's being paid, I know for a fact, this house is gonna be paid off in 15 years, period. It's gonna be done, right? So if I'm 30 years old, 15 years, I got, you know, because now the house is gaining equity. 15 years, I mean, 45 years old, I have a $500,000 house or $450,000 house because the house is gonna appreciate, right? That's paid off, that I didn't need to pay anything, or I paid $100 a month. Or that's the benefit. That's why true investors that really have everything set up and, you know, they're true, like I'm investing money. They do it all the time, 15-year mortgage. So you could talk to investors about that and give them a real life scenario. You know, if you got someone that purchased a house from you and they have kids that are within 15 years probably going to college, right? You may want to just at least have a conversation with them, whether they do it or not, whether they're in position to do it or not, that they're going to say that's valuable. They're going to say that's valuable. And you talk to them and say, look, and what they do in 15 years, because they have this asset that's worth, let's just say 500,000, and their kid gets in Howard, right? They're gonna, and that's $80,000 a year. No, I'm just kidding. It felt like that to me. I paid 5 years, I paid. But anyway, you know, but instead of their kid getting a loan or anything like that, if they don't get money, guess where they can get the money? The house. They can borrow from themselves. Now they can take out a $50,000 HELOC or whatever on it, right? And you only, a HELOC, we'll get to that in a minute, but anyway, they could take that out on that home and pay for the college. Pay for the college from borrowing the money from themselves, right? So you could do any of that. That's why they do it. So, and so if you look at the example that they gave, 30-year purchase price, 500,000 for both, down payment 5%, interest rate a whole point less on a 15-year. However, the payment is still going to be more because they're doing it in half the time. Even so, you'll get a lower rate on a 15-year, but your payment will still be more than what it would be on a regular rate on a 30-year because you're doing it. But look at how much less interest they're paying. Right? Total interest over the life is 662,000, and for 15 is 246,000. So your buyer is saving interest of 416,000. See why investors don't mind, even if they have to come to the table every month and pay, and subsidize that mortgage payment, as long as the property's in a really good neighborhood and stuff. You know, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, 100%. And then 40-year mortgage. Here this go again. So 40-year mortgage, how it works, like a traditional 15 or 30-year mortgage, there's an option to take out a 40-year mortgage, and an extended mortgage creates a lower monthly payment, of course, rate being higher than the prevailing rate for a 30-year mortgage. Although these lower the monthly payment of the affordable, the borrower pays more interest over the life of the loan. Still haven't seen this, but the only in refinancing, I'm not refinancing, loan mods and stuff like that. So current mortgage holders, I'm seeing a 40-year available. If they can't afford it or whatever, lose their job, they need more time to get that down or in some type of hardship. But it's probably coming, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing they're teasing it. It may be coming. So that's why you keep seeing it pop up. And this is another one of those reasons to have a partnership. So you can ask your person specifically, is your company doing this? Because if we're talking about it on the outside, what do you think they're talking about in their meetings and their updates? And they know way more about where this thing is headed with the 40-year. So get it. I was with one last Wednesday and they said, they reiterated, it's only for mods and stuff right now. But that doesn't mean it's coming. And they said that's how stuff always start. Let's test it with them. And you gotta think, if we're doing it for someone who's in trouble and they can hold it, this was a life preserve that worked for them, then hey, we need to strap it up and use it in the arsenal for everybody. Why even put people in that's on the borderline? Why even put them in the 30-year and we have a 40-year option? And it's been proven that the 40-year works, right? So that's why they said it's probably coming. And then number 5, y'all heard Supreme talk about this a lot. What they used to say, shop, drop, wait a minute. Shop, lock, and drop. No, but anyway, that's when they was doing that a couple of months ago. This is what they meant. It's a lock and shop. It says through Keller Mortgage because, of course, they gave us the hacks. But most mortgage companies, you can lock. How it works, the mortgage company allows the borrower to get pre-approved for the loan and lock their rate for up to 120 days. Right, that was strong, especially remember why does the public feel like rates are like ridiculously high? Because of what? Yes, they are, and you're right on track with that. But I said it last week, because of how fast they rose. They tripled almost in a short amount of time. We've never seen that. So that's the shock, right? So that's why it was cool when they came out with the rate locks, or not came out with it, but when they got back popular. So most lenders will offer a similar product. Be sure to ask your lender partners about rate locks, all right? Don't know if it's super important now because we see rates kind of falling back down, right? So don't know if it was as popular as it was, 4 to 6 months ago. All right. Number 6, seller financing. This you will see a lot of coming up because right now homeowners in America have more equity in their properties than ever before, right? Ever before, tons of it. How it works, when a home is sold through the seller financing, the seller becomes the lender, which would typically be a bank, traditional mortgage lender. The note is made between the seller and the buyer. Who draws up that note? Attorney, called. Right? Do not advise your seller or your buyer to go into an agreement on something that they drew up at Kinko's. All right, you're looking for trouble. Carlton them see notes all the time. They have departments for that, and most attorneys do, but have it drawn up by an attorney. All right. The value to sellers financing can offer several benefits to the seller who owns their property outright or can pay off the remainder of their existing mortgage with a down payment from the buyer. So they both work. Sometimes like if you owe 100,000 on it and it's worth, 500 and the buyers have 100,000 to put down, they can do that and you can finance the rest. So you're walking with a smooth 100 and you're financing the rest and getting that money over time. I think I told the story when I bought my first house, the seller, well, it wasn't totally seller financing. They held a second. Yeah, I think we were like $30,000 or $40,000 from what we could afford. And the seller had a lot of equity. So we did a note for the $40,000. And I just paid them $500 a month. And then I think in like 2 years, we refinanced the house and then paid the remainder that we owe. We had enough credit to afford to pay off the house plus pay them. So when we refinanced, we just lumped their little, whatever was left on that note in and got her out the way, and then we moved. So they work together, and now is the time. You guys haven't had to do that in the last 3 years. Christine's like, yeah, we used to do it all the time, right? Yes, we did. Trust me. That was normal. Trust me, that was normal. We didn't even wreck our brain. The loan officer was like, oh yeah, well, see if she'll do this. And I was like, okay. So anyway, values to the buyers is buyers benefit from the ability to purchase a home without being approved through a traditional lender, flexible terms, and lower closing costs, right? So other common seller financing agreements include a land contract. I want to read through these because I had never really heard of these. An agreement to purchase a piece of real estate that involves buyers borrow money from the real estate owner until the purchase price is paid in full. Land contracts typically work where a balloon payment or lump sum comes at the end of the repayment period after the plan is agreed upon between the two parties. And then lease to own purchases, what do you guys call that? Lease purchase product, yeah, lease purchases. So lease to own, a form of agreement under which renters pay sellers an option fee at an agreed upon purchase price that gives the renter the exclusive lease option to purchase the property at a later date. I've been in real estate since '98. I think I've been in real estate since '98. And I think I've probably seen maybe 1 or 2 of these work all the way through term. Huh? But I've never seen these work, guys. I have not. It is an option, but I have like I said, maybe twice that I've seen these work. Don't mean that they don't. Just like something always go wrong. You might as well just do a lease with an option to purchase later, right? Not, yeah, like just say like first right of refusal, something like that. Like if you ever want to sell it, I'm the guy right up front. Like you can't go somewhere else and sell it. I get the right. Put that in the lease. But having your seller pay, having your buyer pay all that option money, I've seen that money get lost every single time. And I'm not just talking about me, because for 13 years since '98, or really 16 years since '98, I've been in a manager broker role. So I've seen tons of them, not even my own. Like, they don't work a couple of times. Yes.
What's the difference between lease to own versus lease to purchase?
Because that's the point. So lease to own, you know what? That's not the same thing.
It's the lease
Yeah.
to own / purchase is the same thing, and then there's a lease with option to purchase.
Right. A lease with the option to purchase is you're buying, like, so you're renting a house, right? You might be paying a little extra, like $200-300 extra, right? Towards the purchase, like they're putting that towards the down payment or something like that. So you're paying a little bit more rent for it. And you have the option to use that money and buy the house at the very end, right? Like whatever that term is, right? That's the lease with the option purchase.
And the reason why you said you don't see that working well?
Well, they go in, like, it could be a numerous of things. They go in, they find out all this stuff wrong with the house. Most people who get into that, they got credit issues already, and they never really do what they need to do for the credit. A lot of people do it because they want a $500,000 house, but they really should be buying they only qualify for a 200, but they make the money, it's just the credit, or they make money that's not documented. That's what I see the most, where I can afford to pay $4,000, but I'm not paying taxes, I'm not, you know what I mean? But I can pay it. So, and they want to feel like, and they're optimistic. They want to feel like, well, I'm not just a renter, I'm buying this, right? That's how they want to feel. I've rarely seen them work
It's
out.
like the difference in individual, because a person is serious about purchasing.
They'll
And
just,
they'll put in the work for 6 months or 9 months or whatever it is to be ready to buy, versus those people who say, I want a lease to buy. They're not really doing what they need to do to get themselves prepared to buy.
absolutely,
Because if they were, then they'd be ready in, 6 months, 9 months or
Ab-
whatever. They would have already started that process.
absolutely. And that's, I love you saying that. I've never seen anyone in all the contracts I've ever written and sought through and houses I've sold, or people that raise their hand and say they want to buy a house, and like Christine said, they're serious. I haven't seen anyone where it took them more than 12 months to get ready to buy a house. I'm serious. I have not. Anybody that have raised their hand and they're serious about buying, and they work a good job, they've been on it for more than 2 years, right? I've never seen them not be able to get their credit and stuff ready within a 12-month period. And 12 months is a stretch. I mean, I'm talking as little as 6 months, or like really, if they really focus and dive in on it. I have not. It's what do we always say? It's the fortune in the what? No one's typically following up with them, and most people, they're in that predicament because they're not disciplined enough already. So they need you to be on them. We just feel like we're worrying them, but they need that. They need that accountability, and they'll love you for it if you hold them accountable. So I'm glad we sidebar on that a little bit, because that's exactly why they don't work, because the person is not serious. They just kind of, they like I said, they make the money. You see a lot of beauticians, people like that, like people who are self-employed almost. They make really good money, and they want that. They want that
So the
show.
reason why I asked that question is because I have somebody that is in an apartment and
Mhm,
she wants to get out, and her lease is in June. So she wants to buy a house, but she's not ready.
mhm,
So she's like, well, I want to see if I can do a lease for the option to buy.
mhm.
And it's all in the beginning stages. But
Right.
from what you're saying, that might not be the best thing for her, because it's gonna cost her more money to do that anyway. And you have only a little bit of money that you're trying to spend to get, you're probably gonna be better off just renting for 1 more year and then using this year to get your finance.
That's the best advice you can give her. And then just find out what is her reasoning, because she could have a reason for wanting a house, more space, I don't know, like
It's just
kids.
because she had one before and then life happened, so in
Then-
her mind, she
then-
thinks she should be in the house again.
Yeah, then the best advice would probably be to her, just let her know markets change. That's another reason. I don't want to see people just showboating, but markets change. So the price of the house could change, you just don't know, right? So I wouldn't waste all that upfront money. I would put that energy into just getting right and finding my dream home. All right, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. All right, number 7. We getting real deep now, guys. Trust deed wraparound mortgages. So how it works, an all-inclusive trust deed is a form of secondary financing for the purchase of real property. an AITD is what they call it, is a new deed to trust that includes the balance due on the existing note plus the additional loan amount for the purchase, also known as a wraparound mortgage, right? So under an AITD, the buyer makes one large payment. The recipient of the payment, usually either the seller or the lender, splits the payment up. Part of it goes to the lender on the original mortgage, and the rest goes back to the seller as the payment on the new mortgage, right? So the values to sellers is AITDs could expand the buyer pool because sellers can sell the home to buyers that may not have otherwise qualified for a home loan for the full purchase amount, right? The seller benefits from the interest that they are financing and the difference between the interest paid to the lender and what the seller collects. The value to the buyer is an AITD saves the buyers from having to apply for the traditional mortgage being added to the deed. The principal of the buyer's loan includes the original loan already attached to the deed. Since the buyer is purchasing the home directly from the seller, they can negotiate favorable terms with no third-party lender fees. So let's hear an example on this, because if I'm not like y'all, I'm confused as all get out right now. And I remember wraparound mortgages. I don't think I ever did one. I never did one, but they were definitely existing back when I was selling real estate. I used to hear about them, but I've never done one. So let's read the example. So the seller agrees to sell the property for $250,000. The buyer pays 10% down. So that's $25,000, takes a loan at 8%, geez, for the difference of $225,000. So the buyer is paying extra interest. So that's why they're saying the seller is going to get a piece of that payment that they're making because they're paying extra interest on it. So anyway, I'm just trying to follow based on what I read up top. So the buyer pays 10% down and takes a loan at 8% for the difference of $225,000. So on that $225,000, their interest is going to be 8%. The seller still owes $100,000 at 6%. Right, so that was the balance on the seller's loan. They owed $100,000 and they had a interest rate of 6%. The sellers make a profit on the difference in interest paid by the buyer and the original loan payment. So they make a little money from that buyer. Y'all still confused as me. No, but anyway, but it says warning on this one. Please consult tax professional and real estate attorneys to understand the tax and financial implications of an AITD mortgage before moving forward. Most loans have a due on sale clause, and this is in no way applying violation of that clause. So I know when y'all sitting closing and y'all half listening, but y'all probably have heard the attorney say, this is the due on clause, the due on what do they call it? The due on sale clause, meaning if anything happened, that mortgage company can be like, yeah, I want to need my money. Like, you can't sell this. You sell it, I want all my money you owe me before we will allow that, right? So be careful of that. And then number 8, home buyer assistance program. These are coming back. So if you're not having a conversation with your lender, I would be sitting down seeing what programs are out there. And then all lenders don't do them because it's way more work for them. It's more paperwork and all that. But it can truly be $15,000, $20,000 to your buyer to help them get into a house, non-forgivable or 5 years, whatever it is. If your lender that you deal with every day, all day, and that you rock with, they don't do it, or they shy away from it, or they don't know this, you have to go find someone who does. You got to have it. Remember, we said we're moving away from passenger ships to partnerships, right? So you gotta find a partner that know about this, that love doing it, that specializes in it. You know, they may not be your go-to, but they're your go-to for those borrowers who need it, right? Because you're gonna have clients who need this. Why is first-time home buyers, why are they having trouble finding a home right now? Not even just finding a home, but being able to purchase. Prices, they can priced out, new home starts are low. Yep, definitely priced out. And they're priced out because they're making the money. Jobs paying a lot of money, right? But what do most new home buyers have debt-wise?
College student loan.
Student loan debt is at an all-time high, right? So they got those student loans, they taking that into account when you get ready to buy. So that's killing them too. So what if they can get the money, the assistance to buy down a rate or something that can get them in there, right? So we got to know the why. We have to know why these things are important. So home buyer assistance programs are good. And back in 2009 or so, they was giving out like $8,000 to $10,000, right, to any and everybody almost, right, buying that first home, forgivable. We're what, almost 30 years, 24 years past that. I'm sure the amount is probably going to be higher. So I know we're at 2, but I'm gonna breeze through these. Y'all get the point of this. Step 4, understanding mortgage hacks for homeowners that are currently in their home, right? So this is how you build value in those people that are in those clients that have already purchased from you, or clients that you have that are already in a home that's not looking to sell or do anything like that. You can share early payoff hacks, home equity line of credit. I want to shout out to Serena for bringing this to my attention probably like almost a year ago. She was like, Terrell, on your investment property, you should go do HELOCs on them right now, right? Because you can use that liquid later. This is right when we started to see the shift, right? And a home equity line of credit, it's you borrow against your home, but you only pay on the money that you've used. You can pay it off, re-get it, pay it off. They usually have a term of about 10 years, but you're borrowing money from yourself, from the equity that you have in your property, as opposed to going to a bank to do it. You can use that money if they want to go buy an investment property. So if you got somebody that you sold a house to at $400,000, they got money and they probably got equity, and they can use that to start their portfolio. They can use that to start their real estate portfolio, right? They can put 30% down or whatever. And then they can remove PMI. They can get rid of the escrow account. House hacking is another one. Refinancing to a short-term mortgage and make payments with a cashback credit card. Now, a lot of mortgage companies don't allow that, but that's a big hack. Make payments with a cashback credit card.
If they don't let you, just use plastic.
Okay, use plastic? All right,
Actual website.
gotcha. So make one extra loan payment each year. Guys, by making the extra payment in January, you are hacking the total number of days the mortgage is collected on. So by making one extra payment, look at the chart below. So a 30-year loan, monthly payment $31.60, one extra payment $31.60, principal and interest paid annually $37,000 on the 30-year. One extra one, you're paying $41,000 because you paid that extra payment, and then total interest paid is less $156,023. You're taking 6 years off of the mortgage by making one extra payment. How many of our clients don't know that? Just one extra payment, just making one extra payment. And then there's another one, the bi-monthly instead of monthly. So the same thing, 24 years, $168,000 off net savings on a bi-monthly payment. So if they're splitting their mortgage up, paying it twice a month as opposed to 1 month. A lot of people like that because they just, especially if they get paid twice a month, they just like paying it twice a month. And if by doing that, they saving tons of money. Especially if they just had it on automatic draft twice a month, all they need to do is set it up. Most people get paid twice a month, right? Why not share that with them? All right, that's 6 years. Because if not doing it that way, and you can afford to do it that way, you're just throwing away $168,000. Even if it's not that, and you're gonna keep the house forever, you're throwing away something, right? If it's possible. And then a lot of investors can do this too. They'll pay, twice a month. A lot of investors can pay twice a month. And then the third one is to round up the payment. So if the monthly payment is $31.60, rounded up to $3,200, that's $40. They can save about a year and a half, maybe. Yeah, a little over a year and a half, I guess. So they save $32,000 doing it that way by rounding it up. And then here's one. Each month increase the payment by $1. So $900 the first month, $901 the second month, and so on. This could reduce the term of the mortgage by 8 years. It just seems hard to keep up with, but just $1 a month, right? $1 a month. Use the surprise. So y'all get the point, right? And y'all can get the playbook. I don't want to keep y'all too much over. So I'm gonna end it. I mean, in a second, I'm gonna get to the end. But y'all, you could do a Zoom with people and just go over these hacks. The last few that I just went through, like just giving those examples with homeowners, you can do that. Now you're looked at like, oh my God, you could take these things, crop it out, and put a little deck together, or you could do a coffee with 3 or 4 people and that are homeowners, and just casually talk about how their life is and their work or whatever they're doing, and then move the conversation, to this. It's right there for you, and this is valuable stuff. I didn't know about this $1 a month thing. That's 8. Look, Denise like me neither. That's 8 years off, right? So you can share those kind of things. And they had a couple of other ones. And then it talks about the HELOCs, removing PMI. How many people want to know how to do that, right? Private mortgage insurance is is insurance that protects the lender in case an owner should default on their home. PMI is required for buyers who get a conventional mortgage and make a down payment of less than 20%. Once the homeowner, that's key too, guys, that 20% down. That's real key. A lot of us were not fortunate to have parents that would give us that down payment money, or we wanted to be in the house because we started a family early or whatever, and we didn't save up that 20%, right? We barely got 3.5% to put down. That 20%, guys, removes that PMI, and that takes your payment down. I know y'all have seen examples. Depending on the price of the house, could be like $400, $500, $600 a month by putting that 20% down. But this is the way you can use it. The cost of PMI for a conventional home loan averages 0.58% to 1.86% of the original loan amount per year. If the borrower has an FHA loan, they can refinance into a conventional loan once they've gained enough equity to help get rid of the PMI, right? So talk to your homeowners that you may have known that that's been in their house for 4 or 5 years, and they don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. They can refinance into a conventional loan, depending on the rates though right now, but just throw it out there to people. And even if you didn't know anyone personal, you just, are you still paying PMI? It could be a question. What if you can get rid of your PMI? Remember we said we want to use MOFRs? What would it look like if your mortgage went from, 1,500 to 1,150? Like, would you want that? Well, you could qualify for this if you can remove your PMI or something of that nature. And sometimes you don't even have to refi. You can just talk to your mortgage company and do it through them. They do the free refis, right? Where it don't cost you anything. So, and possibly use the same rate. So get rid of the escrow account. So there's different hacks for that as well. So make payments with the credit card. We talked about that. Refinance to a shorter term mortgage. If you're making really good money now and you want to go into a 15-year, do that. Live in the investment property. So house hacking. I know y'all was thinking like, what's house hacking? So house hacking is you buy a duplex, stay on one side. You buy a quad, stay in one unit. That's house hacking. Where I'm buying it, I qualify for the whole thing, but I'm gonna rent out half of this, right? That's house hacking. They call that house hacking. All right. So I'm gonna skip through. There's two more steps actually, but I just want to go to. Hold on, Julie. I'll show you one, man, because there's something I want to show. But on your way out, just scan that QR code and you'll have this same packet that I'm going through right here. All right. So the very last slide to get where Gary's talking. Average is doing only what you want to do. Success is doing what you must do. That came from Schiffer. Average is doing only what you want to do. Success is doing what you must do. We are what we decide we will be. And if we do what we decide we will do, we become our choices. So to become the best version of your fiduciary self, you must master the mortgage market of the moment. You must provide options and perspective to buyers and sellers to help them work towards uncovering the perfect answers to their unique questions. Use these mortgage hacks as a beginning and commit to continuing to be your customers' local economists of choice. Guys, put these in your 36 touch. Can you go back? I think there's one that talks about how you use these hacks in your 36 touch. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's number 7. Go to step 6. And I promise y'all I'm not. All right, so this was important. I love this one. Market and advertise products and hacks. So now that you understand the mortgage product hacks, it's time to advertise them. This is an easy opportunity to reach new customers. There are 2 simple ways to do that. Post to social media using Tech Play number 19. So you got to use there's a Tech Playbook. Is that up there on that wall?
It should be.
All right.
I think all the playbooks are under that first QR code.
Okay, cool. So click that. There's a Tech Playbook. So use Tech Playbook number 9. Tech Play number 9, I should say. Partner with your lender to post about mortgage products the lender offers. You got to sit down with them. Remember we said this is a partnership. We started with that. The passenger ship days are over with. Add the hacks into your regular social media schedule. So start putting some of this stuff out. And then run paid social media ads using Tech Play number 20. So if you don't know how to run Facebook ads, download the playbooks, go to the Tech Playbook and look for Tech Play number 20. And then partner with your lender to run ads about the mortgage products they offer. Remember, this is a partnership. This is where you go get a little bit of that money from, but you're coming with with an idea and a solution of where they can spend the money. It's not just give me 250 so I can buy a gift card. It's give me this so we can get more business. So, I can feed it to you. I can get more business, you get more business. And then run paid ads with a learn more. So MOFR making an offer for immediate response. So run an ad about the hack. I just kind of gave y'all a MOFR about the PMI hack. What you can say to make them say yes, raise their hand, and then you start that conversation. And then the last step, guys, number 7, the number of touches. So putting these hacks into your 36 touch program. So the number of touches, 12, a combination of 12 mailings, letters, cards, emails, or drop-offs, which just may even include your business card. And maybe one of the following: letter of introduction, your personal brochure, market reports, just sold, just listed, your personal newsletter, recipe cards, property alerts, real estate news articles, community calendars, invitations, service directories, promotional items. That's 12. That's once a month. You're doing something like this. And you could do this to people who you don't even know. And then number 8, the next one is 8 touches, thank you or thinking of you cards, right? So 2 a quarter or something. And then 4 telephone calls once a quarter. Personal observation cards like birthdays, anniversaries, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You should be sending 4 of those. Holidays, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, etc. Client events, you should be doing 4. They could be on Zoom, or they could be short. They could be first time home buyer seminars. They could be whatever. Those are client events, so to speak. And then that's 36 touch. Every single touch should have a quick reminder, instruction on how to give your referral business and identify the benefits of working with you. So I have to cover that. We can't do another class without explaining what those touches are. But it's and you'll see it, it's in the back of every one of those playbooks. All right. Thank y'all for bearing with me. We went over about 15 minutes, but we had some good discussion. Good. All right, cool.
Scan those.